Welcome back, Explorer. You've certainly come a long way to get here, haven't you? After all, level 11 isn't an easy one to reach. To get here, you even had to backtrack through level 9. Regretting your decisions to go through in numerical order yet? But hey, we're not here to judge your life choices. We're just here to guide you through the impossible nightmare known as the Backrooms. And now, you're in the big city. At least it seems better than that strange fog roiling behind you. Can you hear the wind whistling, Explorer? Did you see something move in there? No, you couldn't have. Best to just ignore it and keep moving. You step out onto the vast and empty streets of the new level. This is nothing like the dark, isolated suburbs you've come to know from places like level 9. There are looming skyscrapers as far as the eye can see. In the distance, you see the Empire State Building and the Statue of Liberty from New York. But you can also see the Golden Gate Bridge from San Francisco, the famous Gateway Arch of Chicago, the Washington Monument from DC, and the Space Needle from Seattle. It feels like a demented combination of so many of America's iconic cities, but the strangeness doesn't stop there. Due to the inherently bizarre and extra-dimensional elements of the Backrooms, many of the buildings appear glitched in some strange way. Some buildings are clipping into one another. Some are juddering violently. Some have doors and windows in illogical places, and some don't have doors or windows at all. You see a surreal sight on the nearby sidewalks, too. Facelings simply walking along like normal people, with hounds on leashes, as though they're just regular dogs. It seems strange to you, but this is the effect this level has on them. They act just like regular people. You keep walking, wanting to see more and still trying to ignore that ominous cloud of fog far behind you. Or did it get a little closer? Probably best just to not think about it, right? Out of sight, out of mind. There's a radio lying nearby on the sidewalk, playing a genial-sounding host on his very own talk show, Talkin' with Ralph, recorded by the human-like entity known as Ralph, who resides at a building on this very level, known as Radio Backrooms Studios. Ralph helps explorers by dispensing useful advice on surviving the Backrooms, like the words fizzling out of the radio right now. I'm sure you've had some problems surviving here. In fact, living here is not that easy. So a few tips to improve your survival skills in the Backrooms never hurt, right? That's why today I'm inaugurating a new program called Survival 101. First, my biggest advice is to find a group. Even if you don't plan to join them, most groups are friendly with newbies and will help you adapt to your new life. Some might give you the basics of the backroom, a guide, which is useful but only at the beginning of your adventure. For your first days, I recommend you find Camp Amber on level 0. They're open to trade and can give you instructions to reach the hub, one of the safest levels of the Backrooms and critical if you want to wander around. All useful advice, though perhaps a little remedial for someone like you. You decide to wander the area for the next few hours, getting in touch with the different groups and settlements, trading information and supplies whenever possible. Let's do a rundown of all the groups and settlements present here. After all, you have nothing to worry about. Especially not that eerie fog a few streets back, surrounded by the dark whistling of the wind. Of course, with the size of this level and the sheer number of livable houses within, it actually has a large civilian population, with no real affiliation to a particular group. These people are known as the citizens of level 11. Some of these citizens belong to a faction known as Maltmart, the people who run stores around level 11 to keep the other permanent citizens and transient wanderers fed. Of course, the major explorer group has a presence here with Base Beta, the fourth main base of the m.e.g. that is still being actively constructed by members of the group. A group known as Camp Amber also has an outpost here. Camp Amber helps people new to the Backrooms learn the basic ropes and teaches them the skills to survive and prosper. There's also Insurrection Base 07, where you're sadly not welcome, due to your prior interactions with the major explorer group. These two really don't get along. For any tech enthusiasts, there's also a group of 3 people who call themselves the Drone Surveillance Squad, with an exclamation point, who use drones to record the locales of the Backrooms. Then there's the staff of the Homely Hotel, a bunch of transplants from level 5 who run a hotel building for any explorers like you who want to take the weight off their feet. No evil cuttlefish men this time. We promise. The cult of Jerry, the blue parrot from level 9, also have a nice little settlement on this level, where they worship their avian god king. They're down the street from the Anti-Entity Agency, a burgeoning group eager to terminate as many entities as they can find. They're certainly less chill than the members of Radical Radio, 5 teens who dress like they come straight out of 1985 and have a hip new radio show that competes with Talkin' with Ralph. You're on your way to visit Eternal Repository Database 011 Omega when suddenly you hear that strange noise again, the whistling of the wind. It sends surges of icy dread down the skin of your back, making your muscles tense up and your heart pump hot tar through your veins. You turn around and see the cloud of thick fog enveloping you, grabbing you with its white, wispy tendrils and pulling you inside, into that snow-blind hell of ethereal white. The place where you know something terrible is hiding, waiting for your attendance. You pivot around frantically. It's impossible to see beyond the fog. It's like the world around you has just melted away within it. It's just you now, explorer. You and the creature within. In the distance, you see something long and black moving, so quickly that you wonder for a moment if maybe you just imagined it. But why on earth would you imagine something like that at a time like this, explorer? When the fog is everywhere and everything. That's when something moves in the fog again, closer this time. You can hear and feel the whoosh of its sudden skittering. Whatever it is, it's thin but huge. It reminds you of times you spent in the yard as a kid, watching garden spiders deftly navigate their webs with those long, spindly legs as a fly wriggles desperately to be free. You always understood this transaction as an impartial observer. Now, you understand it as the fly. You're trying to get your thoughts together, maybe formulate an escape from this terrible situation, but the wind around you is deafening. You can barely even feel yourself think. And is that you thinking, really? Your mind is suddenly flooded with new memories. Memories you're sure aren't your own. You suddenly remember your parents hunched in the corner of the room, trembling with fear as you approach holding a fire axe, murder burning in your eyes. You remember the people you care about crying because of words you said. You remember your world falling apart and you causing it. You are worthless. You are a curse. You make everything worse. You keep telling yourself these memories aren't real, but if they aren't real, how are they in your head? It's almost like something else, some other entity is forcing the thoughts into your brain. They're infecting everything, growing and spreading out like a cancer. You feel like you don't know anything for sure anymore, except one thing. You are in the presence of great evil. As if perfectly timed with the solidity of the revelation, a huge bony hand on the end of an immense black leg clasps around your body. It squeezes so tight you can barely breathe and begins to lift you up from the ground. It's lifting you up towards a body propped up on the same 4 horrendous insect-like legs. Soon enough you can see its terrible face emerging from the fog. The face is the worst part of it all. It's not that it's inhuman, quite the opposite. It's that it looks far too human, save for its milky white eyes and loose jaw lined with razor-sharp fangs. Every time it breathes, you can hear more of those deafening wind noises bellowing out of the creature's mouth. This entity is known as the Mangled, and in all likelihood, it probably followed you here from level 9. Suddenly, it tilts its head back with a disgusting crunch, and its jaw begins fanning out like a flower, revealing an abyss lined with teeth deep within. You close your eyes and accept it. Your time in the backrooms is over. Your attempt to escape your terrible life has failed. And the worst part is, you know you deserve this. That's when you hear the most awful screeching sound as a huge silver spear pierces up through the Mangled's body from below. It spews dark brown fluids as it begins to collapse to the ground, its arms going limp and dropping you too. You scream as you fall before hitting the concrete below, along with the twitching body of the Mangled. You notice that the second it hits the ground, the tip of the giant silver spear descends, stabbing through the Mangled's head and putting it out of its wretched existence. The wind sound stops, and the fog begins to clear. You couldn't be more relieved that the mangled is dead, but now you're beginning to wonder about the entity that killed it. As the fog clears, you see a huge humanoid shape standing before you, at least 9 or so feet tall. He's wearing tactical gear underneath a dark black cloak and carrying a huge silver spear. Aside from his size, he seems almost human. But then, you can finally make out his face and see he doesn't have eyes. But that doesn't make sense, does it? Because standing before this creature, you have never felt more watched in your entire life. It's like the gaze of 1,000 eyes is boring into your flesh. It's almost unbearable. "I am the mighty Argos," the entity Argos booms. "With my spear of justice, I carry out the law here. I will purge the sinners from this place. I will erase their scourge from my plane." Of course, you think filled with dread, out of the frying pan and into the fire. Saved from the mangled only to be executed by your savior for being the terrible person that you are. Argos is the most powerful entity on level 11, a punisher of sin, who is also impossible to understand and quantify. There aren't even photos of him because all the members of the major explorers group who've encountered him have been killed by him in the process. Somehow, it feels like a fitting irony. Perhaps the perfect end for a life like yours. All you do is sigh and drop to your knees. "Do what you have to do," you say, closing your eyes and preparing for the strike that brings your existence to an end. But it never comes. How strange. You look up and stare at Argos, who seems to be staring back at you almost quizzically. "Why?" he asked. With tears in your eyes, you reply, "Because I'm a terrible person. That's why I came here in the first place. I'm a bad guy and I deserve to be punished." Argos simply shakes his head. "I can see deep into you, explorer," he says. "I can see the fizzling spaces between your atoms. The parts of your soul you don't want anyone else to see. You have fallen short of your potential, but there is no darkness in your heart. You are better than you believe yourself to be." And with that, the mighty Argos was gone. No clip to somewhere else on the level to punish sinners who violate his immutable law. The same laws that you had apparently not broken. Well done, explorer. You rise shakily to your feet and brush the dust and grit off your clothes. Another level, another survival. You can't help but indulge in a little chuckle about that. You set off towards whatever comes next, enjoying the mild heat of the sun on your face. You don't even realize it at first, but at some point, you start whistling a tune you enjoy just for your own benefit. Perhaps Argos is right. Maybe you're not such a bad person. Maybe sometimes you might even be a good person, when the opportunity presents itself at least. Maybe the thing out there that's truly bad is still waiting for you. Want to stay tuned for the next exciting exploration into the Backrooms as we delve deeper and deeper into this liminal abyss? Be sure to subscribe to the Backrooms Explained and turn on notifications so you never miss another expedition. Now go check out Level 12, The Matrix, for more exercises into Backrooms terror.